They ignored the fact that you got chartered flights because of this girl. They ignored the fact that ratings were going through the roof because of this girl. Instead, they resented it because they said, yo, we were doing stuff long before Caitlin Clark got here, and y'all wasn't paying attention then. But now the young white girl comes along and y'all want to sit up there and shower all of this praise and all of this attention that was earned before she ever came along. The resentment is understandable, but it's not about Caitlin Clark. It's about what she represents. My point is, grow up.
Let's find out what the rest of the WNBA is going to do in terms of popularity. Yep. You've been saying up and down that, you know, whether tacitly or directly, that, you know what, she's getting too much shine, even though we respect and what have you. We deserve our shine. Well, now's a perfect opportunity for you to prove that. If not, acknowledge her impact on the financial aspects that she brings to the table, adopt the mentality that a rising tide lifts all boats, and learn to have an elevated level of appreciation for what she has brought to the game and assist her in making the league even more profitable.
The meltdown was instant. Fans are furious. Talk shows are in a...
When news broke of Clark's shock injury, Stephen A. Smith didn't just comment. He erupted. While other league voices shuffled their feet and offered limp get well soon sound bites, Stephen A. came in swinging like a one-man firestorm. He ripped into the refs, tore into the league, and even lambasted the jealous players who've been throwing cheap shots at Clark since day one. Finally, somebody said what needed to be said. And the numbers back him up. Clark-led games this season averaged 1.178 million viewers. Games without her? A pathetic 394,000. That's not a dip. That's a nosedive, a cratering so steep you'd think the league fell off a cliff. And yet, you still hear players like Angel Reese DMN about Clark stealing all the spotlight. Newsflash, maybe people don't tune in for a walking turnover who spends more time on Instagram than improving her game. Caitlin Clark makes people care. Angel Reese makes people roll their eyes. When news broke of Clark's shock injury, Stephen A. Smith didn't just comment. He erupted. While other league voices shuffled their feet and offered limp get well soon sound bites, Stephen A. came in swinging like a one-man firestorm. He ripped into the refs, tore into the league, and even lambasted the jealous players who've been throwing cheap shots at Clark since day one. Finally, somebody said what needed to be said. And the numbers back him up. Clark-led games this season averaged 1.178 million viewers. Games without her? A pathetic 394,000. That's not a dip. That's a nosedive, a cratering so steep you'd think the league fell off a cliff. And yet, you still hear players like Angel Reese DMN about Clark stealing all the spotlight. Newsflash, maybe people don't tune in for a walking turnover who spends more time on Instagram than improving her game. Caitlin Clark makes people care. Angel Reese makes people roll their eyes.
But you have to be cognizant that no matter how you step out of your house, you are now Angel Reese, and you will always be picked apart, unfortunately.
She knows this social media. She is not dumb. She's quite a brilliant young lady. She's very smart. Very accomplished. And on top of it all, she is in this age where she does know social media exists. And she has exploited it to her advantage. And so when you take that into consideration, that means you're mindful of the imagery and the perception that you're assisting in creating about yourself.
Faster than Angel Reese's shot selection.
Unfortunately, though, the celebration in the WNBA, it was cut short yesterday afternoon as WNBA players learned the harsh lesson: be careful what you wish for. Headline at the New York Post. Caitlin Clark sidelined with Indiana Felines announcing shock injury. Keyword: shock. This injury was shocking, but not for reasons that you may think.
The WNBA strategy, or lack thereof, is so ridiculous it almost feels like parody. The league stumbled upon a once-in-a-generation star, the one player capable of dragging them into mainstream relevance. And how did Commissioner Engelbert handle it? with lukewarm press releases and no plan to protect Clark from being hacked to pieces every night. It's like stumbling upon a genie in a bottle and wasting your wish on a slightly bigger bottle. Pure incompetence. Instead of celebrating Clark, protecting her, and building around her, they tried to downplay her impact. They acted embarrassed by her popularity, letting bitter veterans throw shade. They treated her as a disruptor, not a savior. But every ticket sold, every TV record broken, every headline written proved she was the engine. They ignored the fact that chartered flights and skyrocketing ratings were thanks to this one young woman. They resented it, whining that they were doing stuff long before Caitlin Clark got here, but now everyone was paying attention. My point is, grow up.
Fanatics also reported a 100% increase in sales for WNBA-specific merchandise. It started with Caitlin Clark. And so now that we know all of this, and we've known that for months, now we get to turn around and look and see what exactly is it that the league will do. Thanks to Clark, Indiana led the league in attendance both at home and on the road. The Fever averaged 17,035 fans at home and over 15,000 on the road. 4 teams moved home games to bigger arenas when Indiana came to town to accommodate more fans. That's about Caitlin Clark. How do we know this? Attendance for the entire league was up nearly 50% last year. According to data from across the timeline, and Indiana led all teams with an average attendance of 17,035. That was up 319% from.
Clark wasn't just boosting the league. She was transforming it. Families who'd never even thought of the WNBA were planning summer vacations around Fever games. Kids were copying her logo threes at playgrounds across the country. Women's basketball was finally cool, finally trending, finally in the national spotlight. All of that momentum rested on her shoulders. Now, those fans are looking around and saying, if she's not playing, why am I watching? That's the nightmare scenario Stephen A. has been warning about. Because here's the truth, Clark isn't just the best player right now. She's the bridge, the fragile link between the WNBA's struggling past and the explosive future it could have had. Without her, they go back to begging networks for 30-second highlight packages, back to half-empty gyms, back to being a niche product instead of a national conversation. She's not a player. She's an economic engine. And now she's in street clothes. You literally cannot make this up.
But I'm going to be really, really interested in seeing, Molly, what kind of effect this has on the WNBA's ratings. Because if for some reason there is a precipitous drop-off, then everybody needs to stand down and recognize the fact that the speculation or the assertions and assumptions about her being the golden goose is validated.
You asked me about Caitlin. If you're going to break a record, to me, if it's legitimate, you have to break that record in the same amount of time that that player set it.
Okay.
Right? So if Kelsey Plum set that record in 4 years, well, Caitlin should have broke that record in 4 years. But because there's a COVID year and then there's another year, you know what I mean? So she's already had an extra year to break that record. So is it truly a broken record?
The financial gut punch is immediate and brutal. Clark's debut this season against the Sky pulled 2.7 million viewers, the single most watched WNBA game on ESPN ever. That wasn't a fluke. It was a coronation. But now? Ticket prices have literally been cut in half, with entire sections of stadiums unsold. Several nationally televised doubleheaders have been wiped off the schedule.
I noticed when you're asking about Caitlin a lot, you bring up other rookies as well.
No league's ever about one player. That player could get hurt or whatever. So I think it's just to give recognition that in sports, people watch for compelling content and rivalries. And you can't do that alone as one person.
Became the first rookie with at least 25 points, 5 assists, and 5 rebounds in a playoff game. That was Caitlin Clark. Became the 4th different rookie to play all 40 minutes in a playoff game. That was her. I'm looking at other things. 6 different league television partners. This is last year. This is last season, because this is Caitlin Clark that we're talking about. 6 different league television partners set viewership records that year, her rookie year, for its highest viewed WNBA game. Do you know every one of those games, including the Indiana Fever?
Weren't just games. They were cash cows. Without Clark, the Indiana Fever are just another team clawing for relevance in a league that can't afford to be irrelevant. Imagine being the marketing executive trying to sell ad space right now. Well, we had 2 million viewers, but now our star's limping. Sponsors see it. Networks see it. Everyone knows what's coming. Stephen A., who lives for receipts, is licking his chops, ready to drop the ratings cliff notes on live TV.
Rising tide lifts all boats. And if this is the magnetic traction that draws viewers to the WNBA, and her absence over the next 2 weeks due to that quad strain is providing further evidence of that, then everybody needs to accept it, stand down, and ride that wave. I'm going to be really interested in seeing how the ratings are going to look without her over the next 2 weeks. Let's make sure we come back and ask me this exact same question after she's been gone for those 2 weeks.
We know what she brings to the table. But people wanted to hate because why? You had a bunch of players in this league that watched this young white girl come along and take the league by storm. And they resented it because they saw the marketing prowess that she had. They ignored the fact that you got chartered flights because of this girl. They ignored the fact that ratings were going through the roof because of this girl. Instead, they resented it because they said, yo, we were doing stuff long before Caitlin Clark got here, and y'all wasn't paying attention then. But now the young white girl comes along and y'all want to sit up there and shower all of this praise and all of this attention that was earned before she ever came along. The resentment is understandable, but it's not about Caitlin Clark. It's about what she represents. My point is, grow up.
Here's what truly has Stephen A. fuming. This was entirely preventable. Injuries are part of sports, yes. But when your most valuable player is slammed, hacked, shoved, and practically assaulted every night while refs swallow their whistles, that's not bad luck. That's negligence. Clark has been hit with more cheap shots than any player in recent memory, and the league let it slide. These weren't simple fouls. They were WWE audition tapes masquerading as defense. And the WNBA's response? Shrug. Pretend it's normal.
Look, I think Stephen A. is 100% correct on this. At the end of the day, you already see people actually saying, hey, I'm not watching for 2 weeks. I'm not tuning in for 2 weeks. And it's really bad news for the Mystics and the Sky, because both of those teams moved those games to big arenas. So it's like, now that she's not playing, what is that attendance going to look like? The viewership, right? The viewership is going to plummet. I already know, because majority of the people that's watching the Indiana Fever wants to see Caitlin Clark. And sad to say it, a lot of them only want to see Caitlin Clark.
Everybody was moving Caitlin Clark games to bigger facilities because everyone was selling tickets. There were ratings. It was a ratings bonanza. Now with Caitlin Clark not playing, what do? Well, when you change your situs, guess what? You can't change it back.
Yep. The tickets are literally half the price, and there are entire sections of the stadium that have not sold any tickets.
Meanwhile, Stephen A. is probably smashing remotes at home, shouting, "Protect her, DMN it." And he's right. This isn't just disappointment. It's malpractice. They let open season happen on their cash cow, and now the cow is down.
2.2 million average viewers tuned in to watch Caitlin Clark and the Fever take on the Liberty.
Peaking at 3.2 million viewers is crazy for the WNBA, even for the Fever.
Became the 6th most watched WNBA regular season or playoff game.
She came into the league last year with no break whatsoever between the college game and the pro game and did her thing. Ended up as an all-star, ended up being 4th in the league in MVP voting, was the clear winner for Rookie of the Year. No competition whatsoever in that regard when it was really all said and done. We know what she brings to the table. But people wanted to hate because why? You had a bunch of players in this league that watched this young white girl come along and take the league by storm. And they resented it because they saw the marketing prowess that she had.
Before Caitlin Clark arrived, watching a random WNBA game was something only your overly competitive cousin bragged about. Then came Clark, turning women's basketball into actual must-see TV. Suddenly, people were rearranging dinner plans just to catch her logo threes. She didn't just break records. She annihilated them, becoming the first rookie with at least 25 points, 5 assists, and 5 rebounds in a playoff game, and the fourth different rookie to play all 40 minutes in a playoff game.
Higher television ratings, higher attendance figures. Ladies and gentlemen, that doesn't come courtesy of a league. It comes courtesy of the players that play in the league. And in her case, she was the most popular, which means she could have helped your bottom line, which means you should have seen that from day one and maximized it. But you didn't do it.
You literally cannot make this up. When she's not playing, ticket prices, merchandise sales plummet. Viewership declines when she is not suited up in uniform. The numbers do not lie, guys. Caitlin Clark is the biggest box office attraction in the WNBA, period. Facts over feeling.
6 different league television partners set viewership records in her rookie year, all centered around her games. Yet, what did the league do? They ran her into the ground. They'll desperately try to spin this as business as usual while the product collapses faster than Angel Reese's shot selection.
I mean, with Caitlin Clark being out of the picture, you know what's already happened in the WNBA? Yeah, that's right. Those ticket prices went way, 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 way down. And you would think most of the ladies in the league would want to wish Caitlin a very speedy and successful recovery, because without her in that league, it's going back to where it was before she even got drafted to the Indiana.
The WNBA, just as it soared towards unprecedented glory, pulled a classic move, a full-on faceplant. They were finally on the brink of riding Caitlin Clark's rocket ship straight into sports relevance and serious money. Instead, they've managed to sideline the one player keeping those turnstiles spinning, the league's one-woman ratings machine, for the rest of the season. The meltdown was instant. Fans are furious. Talk shows are in a frenzy. And Stephen A. Smith? He's practically levitating with rage, calling out everyone from the WNBA bullies to Commissioner Kathy Engelbert. Most notably, he's shining a spotlight on Angel Reese, who, true to form, is out here faking a back injury like it's part of her brand strategy.